Ahoy. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Pirate National Committee live stream. This is your host, Jolly Mitch, captain of the United States Pirate Party, and as always, friend of the show. Today is January 25th, 2026. Before we go any further, I do just want to say that this will be our last live stream on YouTube for perhaps a month because I don't think any of us want to be on the live stream during Super Bowl Sunday. Now, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the I think the holiday will be celebrated accordingly.
I don't watch the Super Bowl.
It's okay. Just watch your favorite former college football players.
Well, I mean, if the Redskins are playing, I can watch it. Otherwise, I have to, protest because, my team has been so horrible for so long.
Oh, I don't think Washington's playing anymore. I think you're good to go on that one.
I think they're now like the Commanders or the Has-Beens or the Forgotten or something like that.
Not to get all political, but if they were going to change their name to the Commanders, take the old Skins logo and make it George Washington's side profile from the quarter. It looks close enough. Like, I don't know.
That would be
Genuinely
great.
not a bad idea.
I don't know.
I
Seems
nominate you for NFL commissioner. You need to in charge.
Hey, and worst case scenario, if you're not a football fan, just watch the halftime show to piss off the maggots.
That's right. And if you're not a football fan, don't worry about what we're talking about. It's not important. But to that point, what is important is IDs. So let's go around based on how I see them. First person I see is Drew.
Drew Bingaman, Pennsylvania.
Thank you. Mike.
I'm from Ohio, land of beans, corns, and bad behavior.
Ooh, fantastic. Thank you. Wanda.
Wanda from Florida.
Thank
The
you.
home of every swamp and perpetual rain.
Thank you. And don't sell yourself short, Wanda. You are also the U.S. Pirate Party lookout.
This is true.
That is true. Now I am seeing double 4 blazes. Would one of you please ID yourself?
4? How did that happen?
I.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Would
wow.
the real
Blaze Henry?
Blaze please stand up?
It's me. It's me. This one's me. Blaze Henry, Arizona captain and United States gripe.
Thank you very much. We'll jump right into Eli.
Eli McGee, Massachusetts representative.
And our bean counter. Folks, don't sell yourself short. If you got a title, embrace that title. You earned that. The people bestowed that upon you. Next up, I see Jester.
Well, hello all. I am Ashley Melody, the still interim rep for Indiana.
Thank you kindly. Next, I see Mars. If you're not driving and answering would not endanger your life, you may ID.
I am not driving this time. My name is Ohio rep.
Thank you kindly. Let's go, David.
I'm the other Florida rep. So.
Thank you, David. And last but not least, James.
Hello, I'm James from the North Carolina Pirate Party.
Well, ahoy, James. Thank you kindly for joining us. Thank you all kindly for joining us, whether you're at home or in the meeting directly. Thank you all. Thank you to all the transhumanists in the chat. I see not only Daniel Tweed, but I see Jason. So to the two of you, I say ahoy and welcome to the chat. Thank you guys for joining us. I think there's a few things that I want to discuss, but the first thing I wanted to say is that just a reiteration of the need for volunteers. If any of you are from Arizona watching at home, or if you know people in Arizona watching at home, we are looking for volunteers to help with Blaze's campaign. Blaze just got stage fright and ran away. But if Blaze comes back, we do need him to have volunteers to help with signature collection. He's seeking volunteers to get on the ballot. Obviously, that's a huge deal for not only us, but for his campaign. And anyone that knows knows anybody or can come to Arizona to help with signature collection, it would be greatly appreciated. Number two, I just wanted to bring up that the Legal Marijuana Now Party has reached out to us in regards to organizing an event called that they're calling Signing Day. It seems to be a event for signature collection nationwide for candidates and for ballot measures, and I was sent an email in regards to such an event, and I had forwarded that email to Gennady. And I believe if Gennady is available for it, we will both be attending the next Legal Marijuana Now party meeting in the first Wednesday of February to figure out exactly what the plan is, but that might be something that is in motion. Drew, go ahead.
Do you know what the dates that they're looking at are?
I believe the date that was given officially was May 23rd. Now, let me
Okay.
confirm that to be true. However, I do so there is time to plan for this. Dennis, the Legal Marijuana Now party, did send out this with the anticipation that we have a while to plan it out. But he is indeed planning this for May 23rd, 2026. So that would be roughly 2 weeks before our conference. So it would at least keep us active and moving. Should this be something that we end up going through with, but I think collecting signatures is something that every minor party needs to do, every major political party needs to do. So if they've got something that involves multiple parties and perhaps a grassroots initiative to help with ballot initiatives and candidates, then I'm all for it. So when I have more information, more specifics on that, I will get back to you all. However, that does seem to be in motion. I don't know if this leads to an expansion of All Hands for a Free Future to include the Legal Marijuana Now party, but it does seem to be one of the first ventures of All Hands, seeing as it would be something that includes us in the Transhumanist Party, which, is exciting. And the last thing I have for me is the ticketing system for our Discord will be up. If I don't finish it tonight, I will be finishing it tomorrow morning, and it would have been done, but Morgan made the mistake of trusting me with setting this up, so it's taking a minute. I'm working on it. I'm doing it. It will get done. She drew out a step-by-step guide of how I need to set it up. Like, basically handed it to me with a piece of paper and a crayon, which is exactly what I needed. So I appreciate her for that. It will get done. I'm working on it. That is all I have as captain. So I will ask, is there any state party or committee or campaign news anyone wants to discuss? That looked identical, same time.
It
However,
was Blaze first.
all right, let's do. Well, I think Blaze left, so Wanda, you can.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah,
Oh well, welcome back, Blaze.
I'll tell you what. Ladies first, Wanda, then Blaze.
Okay.
Alrighty, I actually have a committee proposal, and that is I would like to propose the removal of Sai from Outreach Committee Chair.
Well, is there any
do you-
motions for discussion or seconds, or is there any? The that proposal's on the floor. We'd be happy to discuss it. Mars, go ahead.
I second this.
All right. Well, we can bring this up for discussion. For anyone who has a comment on that, I will say, excuse me, I will say, Sai not being here does feel, not that we're talking about him behind his back, but I feel like a subject would warrant his being here. However, his being here isn't our responsibility. I understand why this proposal is being brought up, just because we said we wanted a strong outreach committee for 2026, and as PR chair, I assumed he would be the candidate to take over. And I could see that with the stonewalling, or I guess it's not stonewalling, but with the stalling out that we've seen thus far, I could see where there's frustrations. But Wanda, if you had things to say about this, it is your proposal. So I just wanted to leave the floor open for discussion. But since you are the one who brought it to the table, you say what you need to say about it.
I mean, the chief reason for this proposal is the failure to hold outreach committee meetings since his appointment to chair. We just simply haven't been meeting. The one time we did meet, Cy was not present.
And was that this Saturday?
No, this was 3 weeks ago, I believe. 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Well, to say that there's only been one meeting all January and it was 3 weeks ago and Cy wasn't even there is pretty, I suppose, good indication, pretty damning. The one thing I will say is you're not going to see anywhere where Ty is listed as chair of outreach committee, the same way that you won't see Morgan listed as chair of IT committee. Committees are kind of based on who's willing to run it, who's willing to step up, and you really can't have your role as IT chair taken from you, considering I had merely asked Ty or Cy rather to take over. So my only statement out loud as captain is to say I don't know if he needs to be removed as much as he just needs to be openly replaced by someone willing to do the role. But with everyone raising their hand, I know I saw Blaze first, and then Wanda, then Drew. So we'll just go that order. Blaze, go ahead.
And I'm just gonna say that if we don't have properly established who's chair of this committee or that committee, we probably should have to change that and have that properly established, because it probably makes people confused on like who's leading these committees. You know, just have it stated somewhere who's this, because that probably makes people think, okay, there's all these committees, so who's leading this, who's in charge of this, who's running these meetings, etc., etc. I just think it should be best to have it stated somewhere. That's just my thoughts.
Heard. And thank you, Blaze. I think that's more than fair. Wanda, then Drew.
Well, firstly, I'd like to say that I agree completely with what Blaze said there. I feel like the process for appointing committee chairs should be more formal, and in cases where we don't have an appointed committee chair, then that role should be filled by the vice chair, which would be Ty. Um, in in any case, though, I feel that since Cy was given the role of outreach chair in a PNC meeting, it's only fair that it be something that's brought to a vote in a PNC meeting.
That is only fair, Wanda. I can't say I disagree with you or Blaze on your points. And then Drew, go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna argue a little bit of the opposite here. I think committee chairs, it's one of those things where it's like people are gonna come and go a lot. We see that here. I think, isn't this really just an internal committee issue? And I don't know. I think we should trust our committees to to handle these things themselves, unless there's an actual conflict. I don't know that does the PNC really need to get involved here?
I mean, I'm not opposed to the idea of committees appointing their own chairs, but I mean, I think it would be good to have some accountability from the PNC level. I mean, especially when committees aren't meeting, there has to be a way for us to ensure that that doesn't continue, because if we're serious here, this kind of stuff just can't keep happening. We have to have committees meet at some point. We have to be consistent.
Agreed. Fully agreed.
To that point, this is the Pirate National Committee. This is a committee meeting, just like outreach or platform or IT would be a committee meeting. It just so happens that this committee meeting pertains to the national outreach of the United States Pirate Party, or in the national business of the United States Pirate Party. So we've proven and this is just to kind of consolidate every point here, that we have proven that if people regularly hold to meeting time and show up to meetings and contribute to meetings, that it ends up being successful. You know, we have Pirate National Committee meetings every week, and we have people showing up and contributing and giving, you know, whatever they need to do, and it provides a successful, at the very least, it provides a routine. And when we don't have every committee with that routine, it does become a problem. Like I've said this since I appointed Cy, that one of the things that I missed that we had when I first got here was we had PNC meetings every Sunday and we had outreach meetings every Tuesday, and it felt regimented, and it felt like there was always something to do within the pirate party. So my appointing of Cy was based on the idea that Cy is an active member of the Discord, was showing up to PNC meetings, and was already appointed the PR chair. However, if that doesn't equate being a proper outreach committee chairperson, you know, I asked him to take over the role, but anyone, to use pirate terms, if there's a mutiny in the outreach committee and someone else takes over as chair, I don't think anyone's going to say, "Hey, you're not the PNC appointed outreach chair." I'm more happy that someone is taking over and that the crew took it upon their own hands to make sure that that ship's running. So if it makes you feel better to have a vote to remove Psy, I find it a little unnecessary. However, I do understand why it's happening. Uh, that being said, like we don't appoint committee chairs for the reason of it's such a fluid motion. We are really the PNC, the Pirate National Committee, is the only one that has the appointed chair, and that's because the appointed chair is the, you know, the Pirate Party captain. I don't think that, you know, because it's pretty much an open source project, I don't know if we have that ability to make every committee have that permanent sitting chair, especially because we end up with situations like this where the guy who was made the chair isn't showing up. So it's just all things to consider. Blaze, go ahead.
Here's an idea. Uh, Instead of voting to remove him permanently, let's say we temporarily say you're not the chair until you can come back and defend yourself and argue, one way or the other. Just temporarily until like he comes back and like, okay, I will commit. I'm sorry for not committing. I will commit. If you can't do that, then it is what it is.
You know, to your point, Blaze, I think Ty, as vice chair, was kind of suggesting the same thing, only in the sense that Ty would be the one taking over running committees in the absence of a chair. So I think Ty's idea was, I'll just run the meeting, and then when Cy feels like, well, hang on, this is supposed to be my job, I'll take over and I'll do it, he would. Or he would see it, say, oh, well, I guess I lost my job, and then he wouldn't take back over. Uh, which, you know, that's kind of what you're getting, not exactly what you're saying, but it's kind of the essence.
Then, if I may, I would like to make a motion for that vote.
You were calling the vote. Is there a second? Do we second
Is
calls
this
on
for
votes? Do we just call the vote?
for the same motion? Yeah.
No, yeah. I'm sorry. Let's just call the vote. That's the call for the vote. So the motion on the table is to have Cy removed from outreach chair. Uh, so then outreach will be starting fresh. Whoever now let me counter with this. Are we looking to appoint a new outreach chair, or are we simply stating that the man who we designated to be outreach chair is no longer outreach chair until, you know, someone takes over, whether it's him or someone else?
I think we don't have a concrete person to appoint in Sai's place at the moment, so this would just be a removal. And if he feels like reclaiming that and holding consistent outreach meetings, he can always reclaim that position.
All right. Well, then I will call that to a vote. Arizona,
Aye.
Massachusetts,
Aye.
whether it be Mars or Mikey, Ohio.
Aye.
Thank you. Indiana?
Aye.
Florida.
Aye.
All right. Sai, if you're watching.
Well, technically, you didn't
Oh,
get Pennsylvania,
Drew, I'm so sorry.
but that's okay because I was going to abstain anyways.
Well,
So
Sai, if you're watching this, you have been relieved of your duties, but not forever. If you feel like no, if you've decided I'm not fired, I quit, and then work harder to take your place back, it's yours again. But as far as the PNC is concerned, the the outreach committee is not chaired by anybody, thus meaning anyone who wishes to chair outreach committee, have at it. Go for it. And if the people have decided, yeah, you're running the meetings, you could be outreach chair. Sometimes it is as simple as no one appointed me platform committee chair, but I was at one point. No one appointed me outreach committee chair, and I never was. So, sometimes you get appointed, sometimes you don't. Point is, if you are willing to dedicate your time to making sure a committee runs, sometimes that's half the battle. Sometimes it's the entire battle. Uh, with that being said, thank you. That is taking care of the one piece of business. Blaze, I do remember you had your hand up earlier. I don't don't believe it was for this same piece of business, so I want to go
It was
back and
not.
see if you had
It's
something else.
it is something else. Uh, I will say this: we Arizona revised its bylaws to the point where we added actually two things we revised with the bylaws. We added a whole lot more roles to the council. I don't have the official number, but we originally had three, but we added nine, uh, a total of nine to it, because I personally believe that when there's not enough officer roles, a lot of people feel less roles and less titles, less roles in general. A lot of people feel less involved, so to speak. But when more roles are available, they'll be like, "Oh, I can get involved. I can do this. I can do that," and they'll be able to like have some other people come along and get involved as well. And it's like a further thing like that. So we decided to add more roles to get more people involved, hopefully. And to that end, the other second piece is that we also revised our local chapters to, instead of being local chapters, but to county chapters, where in Arizona there's 15 different counties. And so the idea is that each county has their own party and has their own captain, and they be part of the council as well. I can send the bylaws if I can and send it to you. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds like a plan, Blaze. Are you looking for PNC approval on the new bylaws, or are you just sending in? Oh, well, he's gone. Uh, there you are.
Sorry, I'm on my phone.
Hey, all good. But are you looking to have PNC approve the new set of bylaws, or are you just looking to make PNC aware of the bylaws?
Uh, we do plan on voting on it on Wednesday, but if PNC is, I can't, unfortunately, I can't send the bylaws because every time I go in the chat, it keeps locking me, making me reset Jitsi. So,
Well, if you post the bylaws in the Arizona Pirate Party Discord where everyone should be able to see it, and then we could we should. I don't believe as a PNC member state you need continual approval of bylaws changes, especially if your own state bylaws changes aren't like changing crazily. I don't think unless you started from scratch. But if you're saying you just added officer positions or you just tried to refine it as best you can.
I'm trying to. The main idea is to try and delegate a whole lot more authority because I can't be everywhere, and the whole goal is to try and expand outreach to multiple places in Arizona. Since we're such a big state, I can't. I don't have like a plane in my back pocket where I can just travel to anywhere across the state. You know
Correct
what I
me if
mean?
I'm wrong, but the PNC doesn't even have the power to approve or disapprove of state party bylaws.
I don't believe so because I think typically when you guys are looking to be approved, you already have bylaws written and you already have your social medias and you already have your website and you already have your members. But I don't think it's our responsibility as the PNC to directly approve or disapprove any current bylaws written or rewritten. So if you are worried about,
We're
does the
not. We're not personally worried about that, but if you want to have a vote on it, you can. If you want to read it, you can. I'm not gonna say no.
I mean, I'm more than happy to read it, more than happy to look it over for you, give opinions on it. Uh, I would say that if you wanted the PNC to look at it, it would just leave it open to scrutiny or suggestion. But other than that, we'd be more than happy to look at it for you.
And
Yeah.
whether or not the PNC approves or disapproves, it would be non-binding, right?
Yeah, I believe that is true. So your bylaws are your bylaws. I'm not going to tell Pennsylvania, hey, your bylaws suck. Rewrite them. They're PNC member states, as is Arizona. So I think if you have bylaws written, that is already like fantastic. So if you're rewriting it to refine it to make sure that you're not, you know, carrying such a burdensome workload, that's totally cool. And approval or disapproval, we're not going to be able to block the bylaws changes. So we think I'm more than happy to look it over for you. More than happy to give suggestions if you need it. But for sure, it is. That's more than in your guys' wheelhouse to say like, oh, we edited our bylaws. We took a vote, we did whatever, but we changed it up a bit. By all
I,
means,
I put the file in the announcements in Arizona Pirate Party Discord server, so if anybody wants to take a look at it, you can.
most excellent. Thank you, Blaze. As well, Blaze, I did make a post on the website separate from the previous in case you missed it. So there is a direct call for volunteers for your campaign.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm hoping that does lead us towards, getting not only more people in Arizona and more people helping with your campaign, but just more people in general. I, like I said, I want the website to be as active as it possibly can be this year, just so people can see there's something going on in the Pirate Party at all times. So we're working for that.
Um,
Uh,
Speaking of which, I did contact Jason of the Transhumanist Party, and he's offered his support and said like we do have members in Arizona, give them a contact and stuff like that. So yeah.
yes, I did reach out after you asked if the transhumanists had members in Arizona, and Jason had directly pointed me to Art Ramon, who, if he is indeed in Arizona, and it sounds like he is, he might be
Jason,
able to give you the hand.
he also pointed me to Art too.
Art-
I DM'd him on Discord, but he hasn't responded yet, which is fine. No worries. Take his time.
Well, fantastic. I'm glad to know that we do have people in the U.S. Transhumanist Party from Arizona that could possibly give you that assistance. And Jason, whenever you decide to run for office, and I will make sure you do, Mister, I will be happy to help with your campaign as well.
Yeah.
Uh, all hands for a free hemp future. It's another political. That's funny, Dan. Uh, so thank you, everyone. Is there anything else we had to talk about today? Wanda, go ahead.
By the time this meeting is over, y'all are going to be sick of hearing from me. Um, First things first, what's happening in Minnesota is downright despicable, and the party needs to speak on it. The murder of those two people in Minneapolis is just appalling. And I wanted to make a motion for the party to formally condemn Operation Metro Surge.
Second.
You know
Third.
what? I was going to say, are there any objections?
Fourth.
Because, yeah, frankly, I'm willing to have a piece up tomorrow morning. Uh, I think back to when they called making us wear masks during COVID government tyranny. And now here we are watching people shoot armed civilian, legally and lawfully armed civilians in the street, execution style.
After he was disarmed.
And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the gun they disarmed him with fired, and they got scared and shot him. So let's see.
That's very
That's what I heard
likely.
too.
That's very likely.
Yeah,
So
considering the model itself is known for unintended misfires.
So, needless to say, um, I am disgusted with what's happening in Minnesota. I'm disgusted with overreach. In the through the spyglass, thanks for nothing. I made a point to refer to ICE as domestic terrorist organization, and they've somehow gotten worse in the week since that's been released. I really thought terrorizing children on Halloween would be as bad as it would get. It has been a slippery slope, and it's gotten worse. So yeah, I
My
mean, as a
only
for
concern, sorry, my only
Jester.
concern with any publication we would make is that I would want us to make sure that we compare this situation to the situation with Kyle Rittenhouse. Let's remind them what they were saying not 4 years ago about someone bringing a firearm to a protest and killing two and injuring four. I just wanted to sorry, this is me being incredibly spirited about this, but any conversation about this situation in Minneapolis should be accompanied with what happened not 4 years ago in the same damn city.
'What
100%.
happened was in Kenosha, I believe,
Yeah, it was
Wisconsin.
It
Wisconsin.
was, yeah.
Okay.
Rittenhouse was Kenosha,
Yes.
Wisconsin.
Okay, fair enough.
Uh, and
Yeah,
I'm
we're gonna
just
we're gonna if we're gonna make that comparison, we gotta have our details right because we're gonna be eaten alive one way or another.
Yep, we will be.
and let me just say, it is worth making statements that are not going to be popular or easy to make, or especially statements that are going to be controversial. No matter who reads it, people are going to have an opinion on it. It's worth making those statements because you want to be able to look back and you want to be able to say, this is where we stood. People need to understand where we stand. If we stay silent on it, more importantly than anything, if we stay silent on these issues, it's indicting on us. In fact, let me state that the fact that we have had nothing on our website from the National Party on the Palestine issue, for example, for 3 years has been what I view as a black mark on our party. Uh, it's so when we talk about not talking about things, we have to speak up on it. So there's no, I will take the count, or I'll ask if there's a unanimous vote on it. But at the no matter what, we're gonna get this post up. Drew, go ahead.
I just want to say that if there's anybody out there that thinks that this latest shooting was not outright murder, they don't belong supporting us. We don't want your help. I'm sorry. I just don't. If you think that this latest shooting wasn't murder or could be justified, I don't want you on our team.
And Drew, I second that. That is from the former captain to the current captain. If you're in support of the violence that ICE is perpetuating, which is state sponsored domestic terrorism against US citizens and otherwise, you are not welcome in our party. It's that simple. We don't want you here. We are the United States Pirate Party. We believe in self-determination. We believe in lack of overreach from the government and from corporations. We believe in the right of the human. We believe in everything that's happening in Minnesota and Minneapolis is abhorrent and is fundamentally anti-pirate. And if you are in support of it, you are fundamentally anti-pirate. Blaze, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to call for a vote to make this condemnation, if not already.
I will merely ask, is there any objection? I'm hearing none and I'm hearing no mics unmuted. So therefore I say as soon as tomorrow, maybe as late as Tuesday, we will have no, it's got to be tomorrow. I apologize for that's just me speaking, trying to be pragmatic. It's going to be tomorrow. We will be speaking on what has been happening with ICE and in Minneapolis, and condemnation in the strongest terms will be applied because this can't we can't sit by idly and watch this happen and say nothing and not make it known that we are not in favor of this. This is we can't be afraid to speak loudly when something is going wrong. So we will be speaking on it tomorrow, and perhaps tomorrow is 24 hours later than it should have been. but it's better late than never. So
I mean, quite frankly, it's weeks later than it should have been.
we probably should have said something the moment that
Better
uh
late than never. Better
yeah,
late
the
than
young woman
never.
died. But I agree. It is better late than never. Yes, thank you guys. I'm glad that we're making the call to speak on this now, because we do need to speak on this, and frankly, this gives me no excuse to not speak on it. I now have the obligation, based on the motion of the committee, to put forward something on it. So thank you all. Blaze, go ahead.
Well, you were gonna. I was feeling you were gonna ask, is there anything else? And there is one thing that Arizona had its meeting on Wednesday, and you and Wanda and Sai was there, and we tossed around the idea of having mock debates for the party in between parties. Like, I have the like, the two debate this certain topics and the host certain debates and stuff, mock debates and stuff. Go ahead, Wanda.
The idea with these mock debates is like to help members of the party and, like, say the transhumanist party or the libertarian party, for example, to help like hone public speaking skills and hone debate skills, you know. Like this wouldn't necessarily be like a fiercely competitive thing, just friendly competition, if you will, you know.
So just in a sense, not quite Lincoln Douglas, in the sense that we're trying to get something and sway hearts and minds, but you definitely want to have like a debate between minor parties in order to just strengthen our performances at debates.
Exactly.
At the very least.
Yeah, I don't see why not. That sounds like a great idea to me, and frankly, I think that that's nothing the U.S. transhumanists would disagree with. It's nothing, I think, if we, excuse me, reached out to any minor party running candidates, I don't think they'd be in fundamental disagreement with. So, and frankly, considering that we're looking towards signing day with the Legal Marijuana Now party, something tells me we're already got the wheels turning towards things like this. Not only working together with our candidates, but with the, why shouldn't we have debates going? Tangent, but I remember in 2016, Gary Johnson and Jill Stein being excluded from the debates despite their polling. And Gary especially ended up polling pretty well and probably should have been included in the debates and wasn't. Uh, and I remember the Greens and the Libertarians got together and they had a debate between Gary and Jill Stein. And I thought that was invaluable. Thank God they did that, to say, even if you're not going to include us, we're going to make sure the people hear our positions on the issues. Uh, so yeah, absolutely. I'm in full favor of having debates like that. I think that that's a great idea. Uh, and we got plenty of people on our side, the transhumanist side, plenty of people within all hands who I think would be down for the cause. So I'm for it. I'm with you guys. And then whenever we feel like planning them, let's plan them, because I think that that's a great exercise in just in improving. I don't know, I think it's a great idea, plain and simple. Uh, Now for that question you were anticipating, Blaze, is there anything else? Blaze, go ahead.
Just I can't talk more about this because my phone's at 2%. But I want to propose this idea for a platform is that in changing people before corporations to people before corporations or government. Because I get when I say that, because we have that on the Arizona platform. And when I say that to people when I'm at signing, they're like, yeah, I'm fully for that, because at the end of the day, it's the people that comes first, not one or the other. And it's like both parties choose one or the other when it's like, no, it's the people that comes first. I can't probably defend myself more about that because I can only be here for so much longer, but that's a general idea.
Well, thank you, Blaze. And frankly, it's how I treat the party in our writings already. So I can't say I disagree with your suggestion on basis of hearing it alone. Drew, go ahead.
I put it individuals over institutions.
Ooh. Well, Blaze, I will fully admit, I think you're both talking about the same thing, but
That's just how I put it.
the alliteration with the individuals over institutions, I that sounds even prettier than people over corporations.
I agree, but it's like we have people before corporations. People are going to see it on the platform and be like, oh, so it's government, pro government. I was like, I just feel like that needs to be a little, let's say, added, or at least altered a little bit, not completely removed, but altered a little bit, so that people don't get the wrong idea.
Well, how do you feel about Drew's
I
framing of
I
individuals
like
over
it. I like it. I approve of that.
Okay,
Yeah.
right on. Wanda, you did have your hand up briefly, at least.
Um, yeah, I mean, I had something else to say, but on this topic, I agree with Blaze and Drew here. I think individuals over institutions is a good way to reframe that, especially with current events and the way the state has been treating the people recently. I think it is important to have that out there.
Now, is this something we want to just vote on as the PNC, or is this something that we wanted to send to platform committee to have them reworked? Because let me ask, based on the way the platform is currently written, is it obvious that it's stated to be individuals over all institutions, or is it currently written so it reflects the people before corporations aspect, but is it clear on the people before government as well?
Not very well on the latter, in my
Um,
opinion.
the current plank is really exclusively talking about the power of corporations and how it's been expanded in recent years. So I do think it would be necessary to perhaps make this a new plank.
Well, then, might I suggest this get taken to platform, not to. This wouldn't have to be obviously a tweak in like, oh, we're adding something to the platform. If anything, I think it would be a case of renaming, just so it would become putting people before corporations into putting individuals before institutions. And I just think a second paragraph condemning governmental overreach. And I think if you insert that and you change the name, I think that is what you're looking for. And I just want to make a statement to a comment I see. Our friend Jason, the Illinois transhumanist friend of ours, said, I don't know, sorry, I'm not sure. Some institutions are a good thing. And to that, I say, well, we're not anti institution when we say putting individuals before institutions. We're explicitly stating that the individual is the most important aspect of any institution they are a part of. We believe in free association and self determination. If someone, for example, wanted to associate with the United States Pirate Party, well, we are an institution, but we would never put the institution of the Pirate Party before the individuals who comprise the Pirate Party. So I think that's really what the difference is, Jason, at least based on what I am interpreting as. Uh, yeah, as stated in the chat here, institutions are fine so long as they don't exist to crush the people, which I happen to agree with. Again, one of the things that drew me to the Libertarian Party all them years ago was the idea of personal and individual liberty. And when I found out very quickly that they meant from the government and they don't really care about individual liberty from corporations, it did kind of rub me the wrong way. Here, explicitly laid out the individual liberty from corporations, but I've always took it for granted that it also meant individual liberty from the big government, that we did hold that libertarian streak to us, a left libertarian streak, but a libertarian streak regardless. Formalizing that doesn't sound like a bad idea. Frankly, I think it really helps drive home the fact that we're a party of self determination and a party of, the individual. So yeah, I would just suggest that this get taken to platform committee, where I suggest a simple tweak of the name and a simple addition of a paragraph, and I think we'd be in great shape. Blaze, go ahead.
I would like to make that motion to bring it to blank.
All right, any seconds?
Second.
Any objections? Wonderful. Drew, go ahead. You are muted.
Sorry about that. I did post what the Pennsylvania Pirate Party created for their individuals over institutions as an example. If you guys want to riff off of that or just take some ideas from it, it's in the chat.
I am actually, as we speak, going to just copy and paste that into the platform committee room. And therefore, we can discuss if we just want to copy and paste that in place of people before corporations or merge the two however we wish. But thank you, Drew. I have just copied and pasted that. And if we wish to pirate it accordingly, we shall. Want to go ahead?
I'm sorry, my internet was dying on me. Did you call me?
Yeah, you raised your hand and I said, Wanda, go ahead.
Alrighty. I wanted to say I don't think it would be a bad idea to temporarily copy or pirate this from the Pennsylvania Pirate Party, and at the same time, recruit the platform committee to maybe expand on it or add to it, or reword perhaps. But like, I think it would be good to adopt what Pennsylvania currently has.
Well, do we want
Sorry,
to?
did y'all get any of that?
No, we did. I would say that, you know, if we don't want to, I mean, I think it's such a good base that we could easily just adopt it word for word and we'd be in great shape. If we wish to have something more specific to the US Pirate Party, you guys can work on that. If you want to, I suppose the best word I could describe is mashup, where you can mash up the two and get something, what we have now versus what Pennsylvania has and mash the two together. However, regardless, I think that it's been approved to go to the platform committee. I would say if not next week, in 3 weeks, because in 2 weeks there's no meeting. Remember that. But either next week or in 3 weeks, if we decided to, look at what platform said, this is how we think it should be rewritten. If that ends up just being the copy paste of the Pennsylvania platform plank, if it ends up being uh, a newly written platform based on both the planks, perfect. But let's definitely have this sent down to platform and we will rendezvous on this in either 1 week or 3 weeks. And Blaze, go ahead.
I'm at 1%. I need to leave now. So hopefully see you guys next week. So yeah, thank you guys.
Thank
See you
you,
next week,
Blaze.
Blaze.
All right, folks, is there anything else we need to cover today? Because I do believe that is a quorum breaker right there, but go ahead.
We do still have quorum. We have, I think we have 5. Yeah, we have 5.
We have Pennsylvania, we have Massachusetts, Indiana. Yep, we're good. Never mind. Anything else, Wanda?
Okay, so give me just a moment. I need to recopy this because I got distracted. Ba, 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 ba. Alrighty, so I don't know if y'all have seen this from Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense. I'm going to send this in the chat and give you all a chance to read this. And after y'all read this, I would like y'all to consider a motion to condemn these comments from Secretary Hegseth.
Oh, Wanda, don't even worry. I just read what you posted, and it will go in the full condemnation. So are you asking for a separate condemnation of Pete Hegseth specifically, or do you want me to address this
It
in the
can be
condemnation?
included with it, it can be included in the in the same article. I just wanted to formally condemn these comments
Absolutely.
because it's just downright despicable to say that about the people of a state, basically,
Absolutely.
and
So
to treat government agencies as superior to the people of Minnesota.
upon reading that comment, I agree with you. And diplomatically, I'm going to be racking my brain for the next 12 hours to think of how to tell Pete Hegseth to go fuck himself. And Drew, go ahead.
I think I'm gonna make a motion. I'm gonna make a motion that we officially call Stephen Miller, Christy Nome, Pete Hegseth, Dan Bongino, and Donald J. Trump domestic terrorists.
I will second that.
And I will ask, is there any objection? Oh, folks, I hear none. So understand that tomorrow we will be finally condemning ICE properly outside of through the Spyglass article. We will refer to everyone that you had just named, Drew, which since this is live streamed, I will be able to go back and make sure I didn't miss anybody. We will refer to them as domestic terrorists, as well as the ICE organization in which is carrying out their domestic terrorist organization plots. And well, I mean, the Hegseth condemnation is going to fall into that as well, but Hegseth specifically can go fuck himself. But yeah, that's it's all going to get done. And also, since Thursday and Friday, I have articles coming out regarding self-determination and Friday's articles on Zionism. Let me just state that I am of clear and sound mind and body, and I'm as happy as I've ever been, and I do not intend to harm myself in any way, shape, or form. That is for public record.
It's good you put that on the record, Mitch.
Thank you. You know, I just when you talk about controversial topics, it's already, you know, stressful enough. But if I'm going to call ICE and the president terrorist in the same week as I'm calling out Zionism, I feel I should put out that disclaimer. And I will ask now: is there anything else we have tonight? Wanda, go ahead.
I told you you were going to get sick of me. I would like to make a motion to well, let me find what I had written down. I would like to make a motion to require PNC approval for state pirate parties, to interact with Pirate Parties International.
Ooh, that is one I'm more ready to discuss more than I'm ready to agree or disagree with. Drew, go ahead.
I know what this is pertaining to, but I would like to table this and put this on the agenda for our next meeting, for our next live stream, which is whenever it is. But for
Next live stream will be in 4 weeks, so that would be
A month.
yeah. So that's going to be on the 22nd. Looks like it'll be the next PNC meeting, unless we vote to have either the 1st or the 15th be a live stream. Which we could always do that, you know, at a later date. But as of right now, the next PNC live stream is scheduled for the 22nd. But Wanda, is that a table you're willing to agree to, and then have this be the central topic of discussion for the 22nd?
I feel that this is too urgent to table at the moment.
Okay. Well, let me just start by saying that I understand why you're making that motion. I think that Pirate Party International, without going into too much slamming against them, I would say that they have really lost the plot, and we are not members of Pirate Party International, and they hold no jurisdiction over us or our state parties, anyways. But you know, I will leave the floor open to you, Wanda. Should I restart the live stream before we go any further?
I would. We're coming up on an hour.
Yeah, let me just do that really quick. Hang on one sec, guys. Well, we should be back. And since we are what's it called? Looking at this issue at hand, Wanda, if since you brought it up, did you want to discuss your reasons as to why you believe it necessary to keep state parties from interacting with PEI?
Yes. The reason I'm bringing this motion is because members of PPI have been reaching out to members of state parties and going behind the back of the PNC, even when members of the Pirate Party and of the PNC have specifically asked for them to not talk to state parties without going through the PNC. And I feel that they are undermining the stability of the Pirate Party and are undermining our relationship with the state parties. That's why I feel that this is urgent and why it had to be brought up today.
Thank you, Wanda. And to your point, specifically speaking, Keith Goldstein, the president of Pirate Party International, is the one in question. I'm willing to lay that as it is, where Keith was going around proper channels, asking for U.S. Pirate Party representation. We told him how to go about that, and he wouldn't do it. Uh, and on top of that, I believe a major issue that Liz had brought to my attention was he would ask a question in the Discord and then copy and paste answers said by certain users in the Discord onto an Etherpad as if he had talked to members of the Pirate Party and these were our answers given. And in that Etherpad were also members of God knows who they were, but they weren't members of the US Pirate Party. So whoever he was sharing that information with, he was trying to pass that off as, well, this is what the Pirate Party said. This is not what the Pirate Party said. You did not go through the proper channels to hear what the Pirate Party has to say. So uh to that point, yes, Keith was undermining us in a major way. Keith Goldstein has been banned from the Discord for breaking 5 out of the 11 rules that we have in place. And we've already established that he can come back if Bailey from the Pirate Party of Canada mediates. But yes, to your point, these issues that you bring up are all legitimate because they've all been dealt with behind the scenes. This is the first time this issue has been brought forward to the board. But to your point, then you're asking us to say, hey, Illinois, hey, Pennsylvania, hey, Indiana, hey, any of the 9 member states, we do not want you to interact with Pirate Party International.
Not without the approval of the PNC board.
Okay, I see.
Clarify.
Yeah. So I suppose then, are you saying not to interact? You just mean in a business sense, like don't do business with PPI unless you directly communicate with us?
Unless you receive approval in a vote in a PNC meeting.
You know, I suppose where I'm going to say it's perhaps unnecessary is that once you get to outside of the United States, anything dealing with the United States would be dealt with or should be dealt with through the United States Pirate Party. Where it may be necessary is that when you have guys like Keith who are going around the National Party and then going to state parties and trying to get business through them as though that is working with the party, and it's not. That would be like us working with the German Pirate Party, but in reality we only reached out to Bavaria because they agree with us and the rest don't. So I get that point. I don't have any position to sway in either direction personally. My job as leader is to enforce the will of the people. So it's whatever. If you guys feel this is a pertinent issue to have PNC say that state parties shouldn't reach out to PPI without permission, I leave the decision up to you all. Like I said, I can't vote on it regardless. I can only have the motion on the table for you all. That being said, though, if we're being completely honest with you, after Friday, I don't know if PPI will want to work with us much, anyways. But we'll see. But is there anything on the subject, Wanda? I don't know if you're looking for resolution today, just a confirmation that parties can't do it, or specifically, what are you hoping to achieve today?
My hope is to, going forward, require state parties to receive permission from the PNC board to interact with PPI. If PPI approaches a state party and says, hey, we want to work with you for something, that state party should have to go to the PNC board and get PNC board approval to then go back to PPI and say, yes, we want to work with you, or no, we don't want to work with you.
Understandable. And then, Jester, to your question, you said, just to ask for those of us unaware, why would the PPI not want to work with us? And that is to just say that, A, we are already not members of PPI. I don't believe it wouldn't be a matter of them not wanting to work with us in the sense that, they don't want anything to do with us. However, like I said, this Thursday and Friday, I have a 2-part article on self-determination. And part 2 is a pretty hardline stance on like Zionism in Israel. And to that point, Keith Goldstein is I don't know if I'd call him a member or if I would call him an active affiliate, but he is intimately involved with the World Zionist Organization. A fact I found out, from from Konstantinos of the Pirate Party of Greece. So he may take exception to the article coming out on Friday, which may just warrant him to say, I don't even want to work with these people. I don't know. But that's what my impression is of why they may not want to work with us anyways. They may still want to try to work with us to convince us or to move people away from what we believe. But, we believe in self-determination. We believe in, you can decide if you want to stay mentally in reality. Yeah, I agree personally. And to quote the article, you've lost the plot if you still believe that the Zionist project is self-determination. But you can read more about that on Friday. It'll be the last thing I ever post. Is there anything else you guys wanted to know about or talk about? I suppose, did anyone want to call for the vote for Wanda? Because I feel like this is a discussion where, I don't know, did we want to call for the vote? Do we want to table it as Drew suggested? How does
I
anyone?
don't believe my motion has been seconded.
No, I don't believe it has been. So you put forward the motion, and Drew put forward a motion to table said motion for 3 weeks or 4 weeks from now. Do we have any motion on what we want to move forward with?
I would prefer to table it for next week because I do feel like this is a really big sort of decision to make because we would sort of, the national committee would essentially be, restricting an option of a state party. And I feel like that's a very, that is a discussion that I feel like we would need to have more time on, especially since I want to give the states tactical flexibility to do what they need to do to propagate themselves. However, considering the reasoning why, I also don't deny that Wanda has a good point.
Also, to your point, we are on we're not live streamed to YouTube every week, but we are in Jitsi every week. So we have given ourselves the opportunity and the ability to speak openly and clearly with each other every week. So even if it isn't live streamed next week, we would still be able to discuss, together as the PNC board, this limiting of interaction. Because to Jester's point, what I am seeing is a precedent being set of the Pirate National Committee telling state parties what they can and can't do. Granted, I understand wholeheartedly where this is coming from. And I feel like this may be a motion that, if it's not set in place, this could be an opportunity to continue for them to undermine us. So I will say that if it gets tabled, it does not need to be tabled until the 22nd. That was just to say if we want to continue this over live stream. If we want to table it and discuss it next week, that would take place on the 1st, and that would still be over Jitsi, and that would still have an honest and open conversation, still have a conversation in which we'd be posting our in case you missed it the day of afterwards. So um again, there is no right now. I don't have a second on continuing this motion. I don't have a second on the table. Uh, I just ask one more time if there's any direction anyone felt so compelled to pull this in. Otherwise, I would recommend leaving this as new business for next week and being one of the first things we discuss, if not the first.
I just simply feel that this is too important to let simmer for another week. I feel like action needs to be taken to protect the cohesion of the party.
Okay. So
So what if
I'm really new, but I saw that guy fire up on the server, and the server basically said, "Dude, what are you doing?" And so I think if the state parties know that they're not going to commit to a national policy without talking to national, it's one of those things where if we get together and say, "Hey, we had an issue," what do you think about how to handle this kind of thing going forward? Because as we grow in prominence, we're going to have more and more people try to steal some of our energy to focus light on their agenda. So it's not going to be a one time problem. It's going to be, hey, what do we do when somebody tries to hijack our boat?
I feel like we could have the option here of at least making a temporary hold, or at least like a temporary decision that until we have another meeting to discuss the ramifications of a long-term hold on communicating with external parties, that we can just until that meeting we can be saying let's not communicate with communicate with outside parties for now.
Specifically with PPI.
Yeah, specifically with PPI in regards to this situation until the national committee can have a full length meeting regarding the specific concern. At least that way
I
we are
am open to
satisfying the
this.
immediate concern while giving us the option to make better long-term decision without feeling the time pressure.
I am open to a temporary solution to this until we can discuss this further.
All right. So then Wanda being the person who put forward the motion, and I will Jester, could I consider your amendment to Wanda's motion a second with said amendment? That
Yes, I
the that
would.
the that the hold would be temporary for a week until we can properly discuss this?
I would think that's a second, yeah, with the amendment attached.
Okay. And then Wanda, you agree to said amendment?
I agree.
Are there any objections to said amendment and said motion? I'm hearing none. Which this is good middle ground. I think that for now, placing this ban in is at least setting this precedent that we can say that, hey, PPI has been overstepping, that they need to speak to the proper channels, which is the national committee. So this is good. And then next week, if we decide to extend this to an indefinite or even a permanent extension, we can absolutely do so. But I think having it in place for a week just to make sure that we are, you know, the wheels are turning and that we're taking this seriously and addressing it, I think that's good. So thank you, Wanda. Motion passes, and state members are hereby uh, barred, I suppose would be the best word, from interacting with Pirate Party International. If Pirate Party International reaches out to you, they're avoiding the proper channels. They need to go through the national party. You don't you go from subnational to national to international. You don't go from international to subnational and completely break the middleman. So good point. Thank you. Wanda, I'm just gonna ask, is there anything else you got today?
I actually do have another thing to bring up, unfortunately for everyone here.
Laid on
Um,
us.
in state party Discord servers, there's been a recent issue with. Oh, let me say it like it is. There is a spam bot epidemic in state party Discord servers, and quite frankly, and this is particularly with the DMV and North Carolina Pirates. Um, there's a moderation problem. There just simply aren't enough experienced moderators in these servers, and I think it would be good to recommend that the state parties bring in additional help for moderation, either from the national party or from within their ranks. Because
Yeah, I don't see why that's a bad idea. I would just say that, like Illinois doesn't typically have that spam bot problem. And I don't know if that's because, I guess, is the spam bot happening because of weak moderation within the server, or is it happening because the link is being posted everywhere and people are, spam bots are able to join via that link? I'm not 100% sure how that works.
I
However,
honestly, I honestly don't know how you get spam bots like that. Uh, I've never really understood how that happens. The real problem is that oftentimes these spam bots will join a server and either they'll post some sketchy link or they'll ping everyone 100 times. And these servers are either A, not set up properly to where these people can't spam ping people, or B, these links sit there for hours and hours and hours and don't get deleted until, you know, who knows who could have clicked on it by then? And I
hmm,
just feel like we're not doing our due diligence to protect the members of these servers from these spammers.
absolutely. And, these things, obviously, these spam bots, I've seen them happen before. Uh, I guess the only thing I could really say is just we have to have people stay on top of it. I've seen it happen in the Transhumanist Party Discord. I've seen it happen in, like you said, the DMV and North Carolina Discords. These things happen. I don't know if there's anything we can legislate so much as we can just say if you feel like there is a spam bot problem, maybe I would suggest having certain people that are a little more tech savvy try to help set up the privacies and security of the Discord server. But to your point, Wanda, I have seen that too. Uh, Want to go up?
The solution that I had in mind for this was to perhaps require servers to have A, the chair of the national party, and B, the director of online, B, server admins in their servers. Now, I don't know if this is a solution everyone will like because people like to keep state and national things separate, and I understand that. I really just think this would be good for ensuring that these kinds of spammers are squashed quickly. You know?
Absolutely. I like the way that our Discord set up to where they can't post anything except in the intro when they first join.
Well, I
I
mean, that's the same in both of these servers, I believe. Well, I think there was a problem in DMV where they broke containment, but in North Carolina, they only posted in intro. But
I mean,
still, who knows who could click what in intro?
oh,
You can't
100%.
trust that everyone in these in our servers is as tech savvy as all of us.
Absolutely. So I think, especially having Morgan in the Discord server, having just being the director of the online, someone who's a little more tech savvy. Uh, I mean, I can be there too to kick spam bots when I see them. But that definitely, I don't know if there's anything we could legislate on that so much that is like, well, I guess the legislation would be make sure the captain, the director of the online is in your Discord server, which isn't a
Hmm.
bad idea. I don't think not every state party has a Discord server. Not every pirate state party that has a Discord server is a PNC member. But that's absolutely something that should be addressed just because seeing a spam bot say like, "Oh, look at Elon gave me $2,000." Most people should be able to decipher that that's bullshit, but not everyone's going to it immediately. So, uh, I guess the only thing I would suggest to everybody, if you see an obvious spam bot, if you see something that's like very clearly not right or something's not right, just report it, ping someone that needs to be pinged on it. And if it's your server, just make sure you're staying on top of that. When you create that server, you become the first line of defense to make sure that, these things don't happen, or if they do happen, recognize when it's happening. Uh Wanda, are you looking for resolution on that, or are you just is that just to say that is a problem? Or is the
Well,
resolution
I
to
was
have the
mainly bringing it up because I do want some kind of resolution, but I wasn't exactly making a proposal because I don't know if we actually have the authority to require that. And because this problem has been primarily in servers of non-member states, though I will say that requiring um, the director of online and or the captain to be admins in your Discord servers, if that is a thing that becomes required, I think that prospective state parties would still follow that because they want to be PNC members.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm certainly not opposed. I think you know what, actually, Wanda, I think this wouldn't require like a bylaws change or anything, but we do have on the Pirate Wiki a social media guidelines. One of the first things I had to whip up when I was here. And I think there is something for Discord, but maybe not something for state party Discords. If we want to include something that says like, make sure moderation includes captain and the director of the online, make sure this, that, or whatever, just to ensure, protection against spam bots. I think
Well,
that's
that
more
way
than
you
fair.
have that way when you start a pirate server, you have a minimum of 3 pirates to do moderation. You have yourself, the captain, and the director of online.
Absolutely. So yeah, I do like that idea. I would suggest though, um, since we're going to further be discussing next week the continuation of the ban on interaction with PPI, perhaps we could table this and have that be a center of discussion as well, because I think that it's an easy change to the social media guidelines, and that would be an easy amendment which someone could write within the next week to include that.
Alrighty, that sounds good to me.
Perfect. Wanda, you got anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, chef's kiss. Is there a second?
Second.
Any objections? I'm hearing none. So, folks, I will call this meeting adjourned at 10:18 p.m. Eastern Standard. That is 9:18 p.m. best time zone. Thank you all
God's
so
favorite time
much. God damn, I love this time zone. Thank you all so much for attending. And before we go, I just wanted to say, Drew, you know why I love this party? I love this party because we believe the United States should be a good neighbor. We believe in cool, clean water, like Hank said. We believe the Trump administration and ICE are domestic terrorists. And we believe if purchasing isn't ownership, well, then piracy isn't theft. Folks, thank you so much for attending tonight. We will be back on YouTube live stream in 4 weeks on the 22nd. That does not mean we won't have meetings on the 1st and the 15th. We sure will, and you can check our Discord server for that link. On the 8th, we will not be meeting due to the American holiday of Super Bowl Sunday. Folks, thank you all for attending. Thank you so much for being here. And as always, thank you for your continued support of the United States Pirate Party. Vote Pirate and victory